great realization, if I can just say it right. Realization that the negativity in the world is a type of self-preservation that the creation doesn't want to suddenly realize that it's all one, that it's all one symbiosis, one action, one intent. That we look at the creation, say we look at life, we study life outside of our form. And we notice that life, the planet, the organism, the planet, the ecosystem, the ecology, is functioning as one unit, in the sense that all these varying organisms of all varying varieties of size and function and expression, yet they are all seemingly organized into one movement we call life. And we call this a symbiosis. Everything moving in this flow of symbiosity. Each part believing that somehow it's separate, that it's unique and individual, yet it's all the one self. Many times before we created the manifestation, and we recognize ourselves everywhere, and it just couldn't work. And immediately a manifestation would evaporate, and we'd find ourselves back to where we were when we decided that we were going to try to learn about who we are, what we are, why do we exist, why are we here? And so what is everything? God is learning about itself. We are learning about ourselves. And so we have created the manifestation we call the creation, which is forever expanding and forever contracting and then becoming more organized and more organized, learning about ourselves, that we can do all these things. When we realized that we could vibrate and we became two, and through vibration we could become more than two, we could become 4 and 8, 16, 32, 64, on and on and on, for infinity. This time around, it seems like the conflict in the world, it's almost like the conflict on this planet, on this planet, where we disempower ourselves by surrendering our power to another, believing that the other somehow is better or more than us. In whatever way it is that we practice this. We disempower ourselves. We fall into traps of despair, violence and war, and negativity, almost like, at least on this planet, it seems like they don't want the humans to get along, because if the humans got along, we'd realize we were all one. And I guess there's no money to be made in conflict, huh? I mean, in peace, there's no... If everybody's getting along, then, you know, you can't understand that part. We can't see the all around us, there's this example of the cohesiveness of life, the fact that everything is flowing and it's just functioning perfectly, where there's no real conflict. Conflict doesn't exist except in the human heart. The human that looks at the world and says, no, there's competition and there's greed and this idea of evolution and all this, instead of looking at the world and saying, wow, this incredible variety of expression. That every single living form, in its varying expressions and form, structure, everything, is really the one self. We are all one self, one consciousness. So we look different from each other, and so we believe that we're different from each other, but yet we are all the one self. Learning about ourselves. Humans have disempowered themselves by externalizing the true essence of what they are and worshiping something outside of themselves, as if somehow they're not just as holy. It's a disease on this planet. Great disease. Great, terrible illness of disempowerment. People surrender their power to another, believing that the other has more power than they. And we're all equal. We all originate from the same intent. That intent to learn about ourselves through experience. I guess somehow I've gotten off my subject. It's so easy to realize, but when I try to articulate it, I can't seem to be able to do that sometimes. I let my emotions get to me. I get so frustrated at this stupidity on this planet. These beings are so... They claim to have so much knowledge, yet their actions reflect a completely different thing than that. It only reflects an incredible amount of ignorance. A great arrogance to believe that we have so much knowledge and yet we're decimating the biosphere. Knowledge. I think we shouldn't be claiming knowledge. I think we should be claiming wisdom. Where's our wisdom? It seems like we've been more focused on acquiring knowledge, which is impractical until you put it into a practical use, until you actually use it. And then when you use it, it becomes wisdom. Because once you practicalize something, once you make it a practical thing, and you incorporate it within your life, and you actually live the knowledge that you claim to hold, then you cannot claim to have any knowledge at all. Because true knowledge is not knowledge. It's wisdom. And wisdom can only be acquired through experience, through living this knowledge. By living it directly, we acquire the true gold of existence, is the wisdom. Because that's what we truly are. We're the wisdom manifested as form.